Let's get into kind of the first order of business here, which are some of these PGA Tour player changes on gear over the next few weeks. So we're not at liberty to actually share the name of the player, but he's one of the top players in the world, former world number one. This will probably be the biggest headline coming out of the equipment season this off season.
That's got to ease his mind by coming out hot and shooting 59.
Wow.
Because I'm sure there's some nerves switching brands.
Especially when you've become acclimated to one brand for a decent amount of time now. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that story evolves.
And what he's playing.
And what he's playing. I think that the brand that this player is switching to they were in need of a real a workhorse. When you look at the players that were on staff, they've got a few guys on staff that have really performed well over the last years, but I think their main competitors has really kind of, they've gotten into a lot of winner circles in the last couple of years. So this will be a great story for the brand that this player is switching to. I mean, we're talking about two of the most prominent brands in the entire industry here. So it'll be a lot of fun. I can say that I was able to see the last few shots of that 59 live and in person.
Really?
Yeah, there's going to be no problem switching gear for this player. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are another 5 or 6 players, as you guys know, that are all considering some major switches. And as you mentioned, Jonathan, I think the pandemic is the catalyst for this. A lot of sports marketing departments, which a lot of folks may not understand, a lot of our listeners, when you look at the tour department, organizationally, it falls under sports marketing in almost every one of these companies. It's a marketing lever. And so I think a lot of the sports marketing departments have kind of reevaluated how they're spending money, where they're spending money, trying to make that more efficient. And in some cases, it means that some of these players are not being renewed, and players that you would expect them to be renewed, quite frankly, but they're not getting a chance to stay on with the company. So,
do players want to be renewed all the time, though? I feel like now's a pretty good time to go brand agnostic.
Yeah, I think what we've seen over the last 2-3 years with Brooks and some of these other players, Molinari when he won the British, I think a lot of players are way more open-minded to going brand agnostic now. It's just something that we've mentioned, time and time again on the podcast, that this is the movement. And so it's going to be interesting. You're looking at these players' names. I'm looking at 5 names that are all in the top 50.
Why don't you read them for us, Tim?
Can't go there. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun to see the players understanding that not constraining yourself to an equipment deal or a brand is to their benefit. I think a lot of folks have gotten away from the ego of, the size of my contract with this OEM. And they realize that if they play what I heard it just yesterday from a premier player out on the PGA Tour that's been out there for 16 years and came from a very well reputed amateur record, and he was like, I played for 16 years and I've never really had my pick of what I wanted to play. I've always had to make something work. And when you look at the irons that this player is playing, they're the same irons as what's available in retail in name only. If you look at the top line, it's shaved down. If you look at the trailing edge, there's some different grind. If you look at the leading edge, they've got a leading edge radius adjustment. So in effect, this iron's radically different than what the average golfer is going to play. And what he said was, I'm tired of trying to make something work. I'd rather just pick something up that I don't have to add all these special grinds and all these special, modifications to, and know that that's going to work right away.